Hello, everyone. Today I don't have anything to read. I, I was guided, instructed, told by God to come on here and share what I was talking about with Him and my spirit guides and ancestors. What I was basically doing, I was laying in bed and I was just going over things I've learned along my journey, and what I learned, what I learned today, or what I was talking about today that I learned, is that there's a difference between the soul of a person and a person, right? Well, there's the spirit. So you have the person, the spirit, and the soul. Now, what I've always been able to connect with since I was a young girl is in the spirit. So all of my connections, the friendships, everything that I imagined that was actually taking place or should have been taking place here on earth was always taking place in the spiritual realm. So I've always been able to see things beforehand or see how things are actually meant to be or however. But see, then I didn't know that. I was struggling, and I lived I lived my whole life trying to figure out why the two never matched up. And what it was is that was a spiritual gift. I didn't know that everybody didn't have that. So moving forward, I learned that a lot of the relationships that I was dealing with when I was having the hardest time with people, they were lessons, of course, but what it was is that same gift was affecting my relationships. I could see the people and their potential, but it didn't match the person I was actually dealing with. So every time I thought things were supposed to pan out a certain way in those relationships, they didn't, because I was always looking at their higher self, their spiritual self, and even their soul. And so to sum all of that up, what I came to realize is that through this twin flame journey that I've been on, that I've been talking about with Mary J. Blige and Mary versus Mary J. Blige or whatnot, she was the catalyst to my final understanding of what that was. Okay, so I was experiencing a soul connection with her. I met her as soul. Now, I've seen Mary J. Blige throughout the years, right? But the last I've really seen her was in the early 2000s. And I never thought anything of it. But at some point, she was always present, but not in a physical way. You know, it'll be somebody tell me something random about her or whatnot, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't understand that. So as I got on my spiritual journey in 23, when I decided that after all my relationships was over, I'm done, I learned how to self-heal. I went into isolation. I went through the steps to healing. But what I was doing was healing my soul, right? I was healing my soul to clear out all the emotional baggage and everything. So that was what I called the self-healing. The self-healing part was the soul. When it came to the other half of me, I couldn't do that on my own. So that's how the twin flame journey came. That's how this whole thing started with Mary J. Blige. Mary is my soulmate, but I didn't know that. I knew I had another person since I was a child. I was like, I got a soulmate, I got a best friend. All of that finally came into play in 2024. So after I did my own spiritual cleansing and got rid of everything that I thought was necessary, my life changed, everything happened. In February, the end of February, early March 2024, I was like, okay, I'm good. I thought I was about to start a chapter on my own. And then all of a sudden, Mary appears, and I'm like, okay, what's up with this? I was listening to a song, Good Girls Gone Forever, was Gone Forever. And then after that went off, immediately an interview came up. Now, I've left the Hollywood scene, the industry. I wasn't interested in nothing. So the only way I hear music is if it actually comes to me. So when Mary's video came up, the interview came, and I'm like, what's up with that? And I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm seeing clearly that I'm supposed to watch it. I didn't know why. In the interview, I was told, take a closer look. Now, the strange thing about that is, I first heard her say that she was a vessel. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm about to tune in, because no offense to the celebrities, but I just think that not too many really live up to that truth, that they really believe that God is helping them and all that stuff. So I don't, one of the reasons why I didn't pay attention to it. But when she said I'm a vessel, and she was really meaning it, and she was like, don't give me the praise, give it to God. And I'm like, wow, I'm thinking to myself instantly, only somebody that I'm connected to will say that. I don't hear people at all talk like that. So this goes deeper into take a closer look. Once that happened, that closer look, it's like something came over. I don't like to say something came over, because I've heard celebrities say that, and this is not that. What happened was I was taken into another realm where now I didn't identify her as Mary J. Blige, the singer. See, I didn't even know her as the queen of hip hop and soul or any of that. I didn't learn about her until this moment happened. So it was like, to take a closer look, I was being spiritually guided to see past the celebrity part of her and to go into the soul. So when I went into that space, that's where I started recognizing her. I'm like, I know her. Like, we have history. All these different things happen. And then it was a picture of her when she was 5, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's her. So I was just so elated to find that I really had a soulmate after all these years. But the problem with that is, as that became knowledge, I'm started connecting now. This is my soulmate. That's not the same person. That's the higher self that I met, that I connected with and been connecting with all of my life, is her higher self. The Mary J. Blige that is in the world is the one that is known for her music and everything that everybody knows about Mary J. Blige. So I'm like, I still couldn't tell the difference. So as we're going through this journey, I'm learning how to strengthen myself, my confidence, build myself up. So I'm learning soul lessons through her soul, right? We're doing the spiritual thing. It's hard to explain. I can't really go into details unless you know what that is. That's what would help me to get back into my authenticity. But then when it came to the physical part, this is where it got messy for me. Nothing is messy with God. But for me, I'm like, how come what I'm seeing is not what I'm seeing? So I'm connected with Mary. We're like, having a great time out here wherever we are with the divine. But then in the physical, I'm like, we don't even know each other. Like, if we walk, we wouldn't even know each other. So I couldn't understand how these two events was happening simultaneously. So I was also spiritually guided to go to her concert last year. I got prepared. I told the story about how everything was working out. Ended up going to the concert, and I saw in the vision that we were supposed to meet that night. I was supposed to give her the book, and she was supposed to call me backstage, and we was talking. And I'm like, what the heck? I get there. I had a great time, but afterwards there was no connection or anything, and I was confused. So I went back home and I started talking to my spirit guides, and for the whole time I didn't get a response or anything. So it wasn't until this year, when I guess I had to grow some more to fully understand what was happening, it got to the point where I was able to now start separating. Okay, this is the soul, this is the spirit, and this is the person.